Guten Tag, it's Rich from Hughes Kettner, and today I'm in the Festhalle in Frankfurt, Germany with Mr. Mark Newman, the guitar tech for Tommy Thayer from Kiss, whose concert is tonight. Mark, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Pleasure.
Tell us how it's been going for you so far then.
Great. It's a big show.
It is every night though, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you were just telling me off camera, you've been with Tommy Thayer for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about his rig, what your biggest challenges are with it every night, and how the Hughes Kettners are holding up for you.
No challenge whatsoever. Everything works perfect every night. Everything that's in this rack, from the wireless all the way through to the amps.
Yeah. Tell us about Tommy's setup then. What does he go through and where?
It's just the wireless to the switcher, to the wah, through each of the effects down here, and straight into the amps. It's stereo as well.
Yeah.
The two cabs.
Yeah. I always thought Tommy never used any effects pedals.
Very few. Very sparse. When we were doing the American tour, we did the Star Spangled Banner every night, and I would run the wall over here, and every night during certain parts you'll hear this kick in, and in certain sets this will kick in, and if Beth comes up that'll kick in. It's just a little this and that, not much, just a little touches here and there.
So what level of control over his setup does Tommy have on the stage? Is he controlling the pedals? No, it's all you?
Yeah.
And how?
Yeah, there's no reason. With those big boots, try running a wall pedal with those boots. We tried that, didn't work out too good. Better idea.
So how long did it take you to get up to speed with controlling all this for him? Was it a simple job? Tricky?
I've been controlling rigs since the early 80s with Brad Gillis. I had all the controls of his rig as well. Wireless effect switching on my belt, actually, in a pager box.
Yeah.
3 different switches. Yeah. Every single in, out, Here we're just using one channel, which is a delicate balance for Tommy because he's got to get the sustain and still get a nice, crisp, chunking, rhythm sound.
Yeah. How easy is it for you working with Tommy then? It's a huge band, Kiss, but he's an easygoing guy from what I know.
Well, I've known him since 1984. Yeah. I met him when he was in Black and Blue. I was working for Night Ranger, and they were warming up, and we hit it off then. And he remembered me last year, or a couple of years ago, when we ran into each other, and here I am now.
Tell us about some of the other guys you've teched for over the years then. How did you get to where you are now?
Well, Gillis, really. Early days of Night Ranger, Gillis lived across the street from me. Went to the same high school, actually. So did Danny Chauncey at 38 Special, and Pat Thrall of Travers Band, and Meatloaf, etc., etc., etc. Those guys, all 4 of us, graduated in 4 consecutive years from the same high school. So it made it pretty easy to fall right into it. And I really did. I fell into it. I remember a guy saying, I did these guys a favor in 83 when I was out with Night Ranger, and we had those early Floyd Roses. I remember Gillis had number 3, I had number 4, he had number 5 of the original dozen or so that he did in his garage. And so we were, really adept at the Floyds already, doing the year before in '82 with Ozzy. And so it was very easy for me to, help these guys out to get Vinnie Vincent's guitars in tune with the rest of the band. He was having problems with the Floyd. So I just remember these guys, then production manager Tommy Marzullo saying, I'd like you to do the Purple Rain tour. It'd be really good for your career. And I just remember thinking, career? How the hell did that happen? It picked me. My career really picked me, and 37 years into it now, still out here doing it.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And did you ever get any official schooling in it, or is it just something you fall into and you just carry on?
No, me and Gillis were always experimenting on. We were both tremolo guys, so we were always trying to get guitars to stay in tune, and so we were always trying this and that. And I just remember the Schecters right before the Floyds, and they were almost worked real good, but they still didn't have the locking mechanism and that sort of thing. We got into the Floyds and that sort of thing. So it was developmental, both of us, together. And we were roommates for a long time with Chauncey as well. And there was a studio in the house, and I used to wire all that shit as well. Big racks of gear and all that kind of stuff, and engineer for hours a day. Living in the same house. It was a rock house. Yeah. So it just never ended. And then pretty soon, me and Brad were building wirelesses into guitars, and that's. Just kept playing with toys, and still here doing it. Yeah. Playing with toys. Still go to the NAMM every year if I am able, and still up on all the latest toys. And, I've got a lot of factory sounds that I've programmed for different corporations that come out with effects and that sort of thing. a lot over the years.
Yeah.
Just like playing with the toys.
Yeah, still playing with toys. Oh, that's cool. So what has changed the most in the ways of the toys that you've been playing with over the decades?
The transition from little stomp boxes like these into big Bradshaw rigs, with big pedal boards controlling big racks full of gear and all kinds of multi-effects and everything, back to stomp boxes. See, it's morphed back to that again because I don't know why, but I like the big rigs myself. But now, I also work for Steel Panther, and we've got some real tiny rigs on that one. And, they're just pedal boards, and it's just jacks right out of the pedal boards. Yeah. It's awesome.
How do you feel about the whole tube amp thing versus digital modelers and stuff like that?
Well, I know you probably want me to say that the amps sound, amazing and all that sort of thing. And in the studio application, of course, that would be the case. Live, I find it less so. When I was working for the Accept Boys, me and Wolf had 3 different sets of rigs over the time I worked for him. And every time we went out front and we compared the rigs, we never could hear any difference at all out front. And we just kind of laughed at each other. It's like, still sounds the same. So we just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now those guys are all the way down to Kempers. Metal. I'm just saying. So, that's how I've seen things change, and then there's all this software versions and all kind of stuff. But really I'm a big fan of tubes. I've always had tube amps, tons of them. And can't really match them. Not in a studio application where you can really hear the difference. In these big dome things, how are you going to hear it? Really.
No.
Not as prevalently as in a studio where you can hear every single thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, when you think about studios these days as well, once you're in a mix, it's not that easy either, is it?
Agreed.
Yeah.
But, I've just found that tube amps, I just kind of a little warmer and that sort of thing. I prefer the sound myself, but that's just me. But as a tech, I love small. Small or lighter.
Yeah. Well, have you seen our tube meisters and our grandmeisters?
Well, I'd love to.
Down there in the little bag.
Well, there you go. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
They'll fit in your standard 19-inch rack.
I love little
smaller
things.
than these.
When I was working for Gibbons, it was all about making the rig smaller, lighter, and save enough fuel to the end of the tour so you could have a round of burgers. You think I'm kidding? That was part of the spiel. So I've tried every type of amp setup.
Well, tell us then about your experiences specifically with the Tommy Thayer signature duotone model that you've used. I presume you didn't know about this amp before you started working with Tommy?
No, I inherited it. I see a lot of rigs. I've built a lot of rigs over the years. This sounds really great up there. Really warm, large, rock. Kind of need that rock sound here for Kiss.
That rock sound, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. Well, it does that one sound which Tommy wants. So
that's all that counts for me is that the pop star is happy.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
When at the end of the day, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Tommy's guitars. He's got a new signature one out this year. Came out at the NAMM show.
Yes, right here, as a matter of fact.
Take a look.
This little Butte right over here. Pull it out. Brand new, hot off the press. Little Butte.
It's a Gibson Explorer model. Custom shop built to Tommy's exact specifications.
Yeah, and he has an Epiphone version as well that you can purchase stage plate.
Yeah, because I've heard some people saying in the past that he plays Epiphone, he has an Epiphone signature, but he also plays Gibsons, and you often see him playing the Gibsons on stage. But he does play the Epiphones too, doesn't he? You can confirm that.
Yes, absolutely. We used to have the Epiphone version of the white Les Pauls. We finally run out of those, and we're on to the new Explorer model.
Yeah.
Also the White Lightning, both of them as signature model names. Great guitars, both of them. And the Epiphone versions are just as good as the Gibson ones. Really, they play just the same, they sound the same. I can't say enough about it. Really easy to set up. Really only takes me a little bit to get them set up because we go through a lot of them.
Does Tommy go through a lot during a set? Is he changing guitars between every song, every 2 or 3, or?
Yeah, it varies. It depends on whether he feels like it or not. Sometimes I'll have a guitar ready to go and he'll wave me off, so you just never know.
Yeah.
Cornell used to do that a lot too, with it going off going off the set list all the time.
Yeah.
He'd wave me off. I'd be standing with another guitar, and he'd go, off I'd go, because he just never knew what next song was going to be.
Yeah. It's exciting, doesn't it?
It does. And with him, it was a lot of fun. Actually, we had a riot last year out doing the acoustic thing. It was good fun.
So good fun, but I guess it's also a little bit stressful, maybe, being at the side of the stage, never knowing what he's going to do next. No.
Yeah, that'll be the day when you catch me stressing. I've been doing it too long.
Yeah.
I know my gig.
Yeah.
So if anything goes, anything happens, I'm there, whatever it is. I ain't scared.
What's been the strangest or weirdest or most difficult thing that's happened with Tommy then? Pyrotechnics-wise, guitar-wise, falling off stage-wise, anything?
The rockets weren't loaded the third or fourth night into the European tour. That was not fun. Because he was already up there with the guitar, and then one of the pyro guys comes over and goes, "Hey, we forgot to put the rockets in." Oh, killed me. Totally killed me. He hits the button, he kind of looks over at me, and I'm just going... So that was probably about the worst thing. Wasn't fun. Other than that, gear-wise, I haven't had a problem. It's funny, it would only be pyro.
Yeah. Well, pretty classic, simple setup, isn't it? What we normally associate with him is Les Paul, into that. That's all it is.
It really is.
Yeah. Not an awful lot that can go wrong in that chain, is there?
One would hope not. And certainly my mind is trained to, it's like a War Games computer on guitar technology. I've already been thinking about it for years. So usually if something's going to go wrong, I'm ready to, deal with a problem.
If you could change anything about his rig to make it more to your personal liking, what would you do?
Can't really think of anything.
It's the perfect rig.
Well, it does. Sounds great.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for what he's doing with it. So, it works for everything that he does. So I can't say anything. It's really perfect for his application.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Works on stage night after night.
Personal rig has, like every single preamp. It's more Bradshaw style.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm kind of a gear nut. So, I don't mind sitting and programming all the toys.
Okay. Briefly got time maybe just to tell us a bit about your personal rig?
Well, it's just I have a JMP1 Marshall preamp. I have a Boogie Traxxas preamp. I have a PV Tube Effects preamp. I have a Digitech 2101 preamp. And switch between any one of those four and any one of the presets they're in. And a few of those I had to do with the factory presets too. I wrote a lot of the factory presets for them, like 2101. I probably wrote most of the algorithms because I was the only one that understood it fully at the time when it first came out. And, after wiring studios and stuff, guitar rigs are pretty basic.
Yeah.
And I've wired a lot of studios over the years, and engineered a lot. So, to me, it's child's play, really.
Are you a big MIDI nut?
Major. Yeah, MIDI studios for years. During the Damn Yankees era, I used to sit behind the console with Ron Nevison sitting over my shoulder and do all the engineering for those guys during the songwriting and all that kind of stuff in their own personal studios. I wired Tommy's and Jack's studios identical, so all I had to do is bring the tape and the diskette, and they were off and running in each other's studios. One was in California, one was in New York City. So it was great, coast to coast, identical studios. Yeah. It was really nice. It was really easy for them to use. But Nevison used to always say, "Well, come on, get Mark in there to engineer, so you guys can, stick with the songwriting, not have to worry about the technology." So I did a lot of that, over the years.
Yeah.
Good fun. A lot of Night Ranger stuff too, because studios were in hollow houses there too.
I think you've probably got to write a book.
I get that a lot. I really do. Twice, 3 times a week somebody says that to me. Yeah, I got stories forever, as you can imagine.
I can indeed. I've got one more question about Tommy's rig. Just based on what you just said, does he have an A and a B one? Is there another one being shipped to the next venue already?
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C.
For the European rig, though, all the shows are close enough together to where we're just sticking with the A rig. The B rig we just used in the States right before we came out on this. And I assume we'll probably use the B rig next at the next gig, but I don't really know the stateside gigs once we get back over there. But in the meantime, I'm running over here with Steel Panther to go do festivals over here in Europe.
That is very cool indeed.
We'll be back next month again.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we will see you there. I could talk to you all day, but I guess we've got to cut to it because we've got to go for dinner or something like that. The show's coming up, so
Yes, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
It'll be the best show ever.
It always is, every night. Yeah. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Mark Newman, guitar tech to Tommy Thayer, and many, many, many more. Google him if you want to find out more about what Mark's done, because it's a whole load more than what we could talk about over tonight, tomorrow, the whole next week. Make sure you check us out at hughesandkettner.com. Check out Tommy's signature duotone model and all the rest of what we've got. Stick around on social media, because we've got a load more to share with you from tonight, and I shall see you later. Tschüss.